Hi guys, today I'd like to talk about expecting your date to impress your parents. Okay, so the issue with this is, why is this a one-way street? Your date should not be the only one trying to get the other party to like or accept them. So if you're expecting, or your date has to go out of their way to make your family like them, then you might want to think about what's wrong with your family. You should be making sure that your family is nice to her or him, and welcoming and accepting, until such a time as your date does something bad or whatever that they need to warn you about. It should be an innocent until proven guilty, not guilty until you prove yourself to me. There should be none of this, your date having to bring gifts and whatever to your parents. This shouldn't be a suck-up show. This should be, a bunch of adults meeting each other and getting to know each other without any judgments or let's find out if you're good enough for my child, or you have to prove yourself to me first, or you'd better suck up to me because I'm the mother-in-law or I'm the father-in-law or whatever. That attitude is quite disgusting, and if your parents do that, then you need to step in. Do not leave it up to your date to have to stand up for themselves or stop the treatment. That's your job. And if you leave it until your date or partner has to say something, then depending on your parents, but your date will probably be the worst in the world in their eyes because they happen to say something about the bad treatment that they're receiving, which is really quite disgusting. This is human nature, isn't it? Treat someone badly, and then when that person sticks up for themselves, they're the worst in the world. Oh, God, it's so ridiculous. Your parents, look, nobody should be having to go out of their way to impress anyone, but your parents should be trying to impress / win over / getting your date to like them as much as your date should be trying to get your parents to like them. Because this is the family that they're marrying into potentially. Why the hell would your parents not want to show your date that this is a great and loving and accepting and welcoming family that's going to make them feel included, welcomed, accepted, loved, comfortable, all the rest of it? Because if they don't, then your date / partner might never want to marry you, might just walk away because the family's too hard to deal with, or they're giving them the cold shoulder or something. So why are your parents not trying to impress your date just as much as your date's trying to impress them? It's really, really wrong to have this attitude of my child's date or partner has to impress me, or I'm the older one, so I'm the one that needs more respect and I can treat them however I want. It doesn't work like that, guys. This whole respecting your elders thing, yes, great, until the elder disrespects you. Now, an elder does not deserve respect if they're not giving respect. So if you have your parents treating your date or partner like crap, why the hell does your date or partner have to sit there like a meek little mouse and be lovely to your parents back because respect your elders? No, it doesn't work like that. There is absolutely nothing on this earth to say just because somebody is 20 years older than you that you have to be treated, have to allow them to treat you like crap while you're being nice to them. Does not work like that. You've got to give respect to get respect. Now, everybody should be giving everybody else a basic level of respect until they get to know them. And if they don't get respect from that person, they don't need to give respect back. If they do get respect from that person, then yes, give respect back. But this whole disgusting, I'm the parent, I'm older than you, whatever, so I can treat you however I want and you have to be nice to me, is absolutely ridiculous. It's ageist. We are all adults. It doesn't matter if your date is 27 and your parents are 50. Everybody in that room is an adult. So why the hell is there not mutual respect amongst adults? If there's anything less than that, that is absolutely disgusting and you need to pull them up. Now, you also, if your parents say something to your date or about your date behind their back, that's not so nice or perhaps shouldn't be said or is a little rude or judgmental, even if it's not, downright nasty and horrible, you still need to stand up for your date. It is not your date's job to have to stand up for themselves, because if they do, they'll be the worst in the world to your parents because they dared to speak up to them. So it is your job. You nip it in the bud immediately. Immediately. Now, I was with a guy once whose father, nobody was good enough for the son. Like, he wasn't, horrible about it or anything. But he would say things like, oh, don't be with her. She comes from a broken home. And so she'll end up divorcing you. Now, the guy who I was with did not stand up for me. He didn't say a word. I wasn't there. I got told this later. Here's another thing. Don't bloody tell them what they've said. You pull them up and put a stop to it, and don't tell them, because then that person's going to always have resentment against your parents for what they've said. Why are you blubbering it? Keep it between yourselves. So what he should have done, he should have said, don't speak about her like that, or it's not your job to tell me who to date, or I'm sure that she's not going to do what her father did or whatever. And it was just absolutely ridiculous to say anyway, because my parents broke up when I was a baby, so I have absolutely no memories of seeing a bad marriage or going through my parents getting divorced and all that crap, because I was a baby and all I ever knew was my mum raising me. So I didn't have any of those stupid scars and all the rest of it. So it was absolutely ridiculous for him to even bring that up. He also said to my partner at the time, he said to my face something like I was overweight or something. Now, that's quite disgusting, and I sort of just laughed it off because I really wasn't overweight. I was maybe one size above, perfect size 10, Australian size 10. So I was really quite slim. I wasn't skinny, but I was slim. I was still in the slim category, but he needed to say something about my weight. Now, as far as I can remember, he had a bit of a beer belly. He wasn't fat or anything, but he had a bit of a beer belly. So where did he get off thinking it was okay to put me down? Now, I'm sure if I had have said something back, I would have been the worst in the world. And my partner should have stepped in and said something. That was not okay. If someone said that about my partner, if one of my parents or family members said that about my partner, I would jump straight in and say, oh, don't say that, that's rude, or talk to them later or something. But no, he did nothing. And then later, when he was over their house at one time, because I talk in a sort of a high-pitched voice to my little tiny dogs, like as you do, little tiny, chihuahuas and things. He apparently, his father apparently told him, oh, she's really childish, isn't she? And again, he didn't stick up for me. He didn't tell him to stop. So, and then he came home and told me. A, he shouldn't have told me. B, he should have stuck up for me and shut his father down. There was absolutely no excuse for continually allowing him to say things. Now, what he said to him about me being childish really, really affected our relationship and put some nails in the coffin, because after that, he tried to adjust my behaviour and squash my spirit in order to please his father. Now, how disgusting is that? So I felt, definitely like my spirit was being stifled, being killed off, and that's not someone I want to be around. So, You know, you can sit there and let these things affect you, or you can shut them down the first time and then they know not to say things about you again, about your partner again. Now, one more thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to impressing the parents or whatever. Remember I said everybody's adults and nobody should be expected to be the groveler, because you're all over 18, you're all over 21. Why is somebody being the groveler just because they were born a little bit later than the other one? It's crazy. So if your parents or you expect your date to call your parents Mr. Marsden or Mrs. Marsden instead of their first names, I actually think that's really wrong. You're not a little child in school calling the teacher Mrs. such and such. You are all grown-ass adults. You are all equals. Nobody is above anybody else, and nobody needs to impress anybody more than the other. So calling each other by their first names is a sign of equality. So do not expect your date to call your parents Mr. or Mrs. And don't allow them to demand that. Okay? It should be their first name, because you are all equal. Now, you might disagree with me about that. That's completely up to you. But according to me, I don't buy into this whole, because someone's a bit older than you, that you have to grovel and give them preferential treatment and all the rest of it. And you are treated however you want and called whatever you want. No, you're all equal. Everything's the same. The only time somebody older than you should be treated differently is in a physical sense. Because they're older and their body's starting to break down or whatever, you give up your seat on the bus and, things like that. They might have a weaker bladder. If you're in a line at a toilet, you let the little old lady go first or something like that. That's when respecting your elders comes in. But grovelling and being nice while they're not to you, I find that quite disgusting. So disagree with me if you like, but that's my view on it. Yes, anyway, so I might leave it there, because that's about all I've got on this particular subject. So from Aussie Land, farewell.